Look what we got here, my friends. We have 170 rear, 170 front travel, Bosch CX5, 210 millimeters of drop for my short stature, OneUp components throughout, and under 8 grand. Something you got to see right here. What's up everyone, FC here from E-MTB, and today I have the Ari Timp Peak 2.0, and they really kind of rewrote the book. 1.0 was pretty good, but this one, what I'm gonna say is it is now top five in my book of the new bikes. That's including the 4 prototype bikes that I have in my garage I've been riding that are about to get released soon. So this is a good one. And what I'm going to do in this video is I'm going to tell you what it is, what changed, what are the and what makes it good, what makes it special, what are the weaknesses. I'm going to tell you the weaknesses of this bike because without them the review is not so useful, right? And then how much it costs, and then is it a good bike for you? All right. Okay, Ari Timp Peak, as I said, they are a direct-to-consumer company. They started like 20 years ago. And now that the world is getting to that point, they really have the lead. Very good configurators. They are very quick to respond. They don't have these inventory problems because they have set up these really reordering systems with their vendors where they could, be agile without having to put up, look 1 year ahead or 2 years ahead. So really good company, and used to be Fezzari. They renamed to Ari, and I think it's been a successful rebrand. And they've really worked on, they've always made good bikes. Now they're looking at their kinematics, their styling, the whole package, aside from just price. So they're competing in the high end, the very high end. They're not here to give you a $4,000 e-bike. So what we have here is the Ari Timp Peak 170 rear, 170 front travel, and they switched their shock position. Everyone's switching from that top tube shock to this seat tube shock. A more vertical shock position. Why? Because it is better for kinematics, and it's also better for space efficiency. Space is at a premium in an e-bike. Everyone is contending for this space right here. Where you have a motor that just took up a bunch of space. You have a battery, you have charging ports, you have a dropper that wants to be as long as possible. So they felt this was what they needed to do, and I think they executed it really well. It's a mullet configuration. 437 stays, but it can also fit a 29er. You have adjustable length on the chainstay. Super cool because for me this is perfect 437, but if you're a big guy and you have like a 500 reach, you want a little longer chainstay, so it'll be proportioned. You won't be just rear balanced. So there is the package, and the really big deal is the transformation from Shimano motor to Bosch. Shimano motor, they had the EP8 and 630 watt hour, and let me tell you, that really was a kind of a gating item for them. 630 watt hour with no extender on a big bike. It was kind of okay for me. I could keep up with my 700 watt hour buddies, but the designer of the bike, Tyler, 240 pounds of muscle, but there's just no chance he could keep up. When you have a big weight, it's just too much of a load for the battery, because it's, even if you're assisting like a super athlete, the battery still has to assist you carry your 240 pounds up the hill, as opposed to helping a 140 pound rider. So now we have they have a CX5 motor. They didn't have inventory problems. They have the very latest, and there might be a what do you call that? A torque upgrade on this. What allows the motor to do is to have 3 different batteries. So stock 800 watt hour battery right here on the latest cells. It can also do 600, which I heard is a little more than 600. On your checkout, they'll give you the option. And this, they've been listening to all my rants and complaints, and they're not really complaints as much as they are a chance for the industry to improve. Listen to the customer. Don't put a 600 or a 400 in a bike. Give them options, and that's what the world is leading towards. So say 800, 600, or a 250 watt hour extender is what it allows them to do. Okay, so that's kind of the basics around the bike, mullet or 29er, and a few price points. So I'll tell you all about that. So let's get to the basic specs of the bike, geometry included. And this is an $8,000 bike, 7,999, and it is a beautiful spec. I would buy this with my own money because there's no upgrades needed. You know, it has these TRP, what do you call this? Evo Pro, the new ones. It is so good. Has a OneUp dropper, 210 millimeters for me. Has vivid. They changed the leverage of the suspension to have more leverage ratio because we have these big shocks now that can handle it. You know, they optimize what the components can give them. Boom, boom. We have a Zeb here, so 170. But at checkout, you can also say, "Hey, I'm a Fox guy. I like that new X2." Boom, boom. You could have that if that's what you want. Bosch CX5, you know, just a 5-button display here. The latest controllers here, and then ergon saddle, which is kind of I discovered with them the SM series saddles. So good, so comfortable. And I used to like ergon grips because they're very sturdy, but I think a little harder rubber, and they went with ODI. And this one, I said, okay, that's good. It's got the ridges there too, so you could grip your grips this way and change the attitude of your bike. GX on this guy, and I'm a huge fan of GX transmission because it's not that expensive, and it's, you know, on an e-bike it hardly matters whether you have GX or XX1. It's still powered by the battery here. I wish it was powered by the main battery, but they didn't get to that yet. Maxxis on the tires, well, we have DH, R, and Assegai, so standard fare. And the weight on this guy is 51.5 pounds. I just weighed it right now without the pedals. And then with the 600 watt-hour battery, it's under 50 pounds. It's 49.8 pounds. I'll show it on the display. The geometry is very aggressive, 78-degree seat angle, and a 63.6 to 64.4 on the head angle. So there is some adjustability there. We have a flip chip right here, too. So quite adjustable. I like it, right? Standover height is 740, but really they lowered this, and you could drop the post all the way here. And then it allowed me a 210 dropper for my 5'7" height and 30 inseam. So if you need that, and I think most people are progressing towards longer droppers, it's very handy. How good is it? From minute one, I felt natural on it. And you know, part of it is the suspension was there and very supportive. Everything was low to the ground. The big dropper obviously helped. The spec I was familiar with, and Tyler is a master suspension tuner, and he helped me out. In fact, if you hang on to the end of the video, he told me a trick that was like a light bulb moment for me. Just a simple little an understanding of suspension. And I'll tell you that at the end of the video, so a little reward if you hang on. So the ride quality is incredible. Rode it for three days with him, and another 5 times with him. I had a couple guys riding this bike. One you'll see in my footage, so I could film him. And from minute one, it just feels so natural. You know, it feels, you know, it's easy to throw around despite its weight and its kind of big travel. So I think this is why I'm a huge proponent of full-powered bikes. The new style, the new designs, suspension kinematics makes the bike easy to handle. And then on the downhill and on corners. On the uphill, because you have a motor like the CX5, the CX5 is top of the charts right now with the DJI motor. It's so fast and supportive that even on climbs, it's way more nimble than a Kenevo SL or a Levo SL, because the motor, when it supports you, the bike feels like a 15-pound bike. You know, the minute you put some torque on the pedal, you know, it's going to respond to you. Not too strong, but you know, it respond to you on what you want. And usually, the earlier the motor gets in, the more the agile and responsive the bike feels. Well, the other thing that makes it special is the stock spec options that they have. 155 cranks. Oh, they even have, what are these, XO cranks. So they don't have these inventory issues. So today you can get the TRP brakes that just got released a week ago, and you know, you get the saddle, and if you say, oh, I'm not into the 210 dropper, I'm not, it loads up my knees, I just want a 150, 170, they'll do that for you. You know, I say, hey, I want an Assegai rear too, or I want the DHF in the front. They'll do that. They'll do these things for you. And like I said, I'm a Fox guy. I know how to tune those shocks. They can configure to you. I want the Maven. That's what makes Ari bikes special. Is they have a good spec if you don't know anything, but if you know the particulars and you're going to change and upgrade them, they'll do that for you. So let's give you some downsides, since I'm not just a fanboy. I'm here to help you make a decision. The first one is this down tube is big. So if that matters to you, you know, it's kind of the new wave. Down tubes are getting bigger because of the Bosch batteries and some new batteries that you're going to see. They're getting bigger. So this is no svelte little down tube. It's about 13 inches, 12 and 3/4, I believe, is what I measured it at. And a lot of the Bosch bikes, you'll see once they go to 800, they're going to be kind of big. So the battery is big, and then they just left space. They didn't squeeze this down to the smallest, and they kind of the optics of it doesn't look. They weren't able to hide that girth. The second weakness is, I would say, you know, it has near 100% anti-squat at sag. So it's a very responsive pedaler, and they optimize it for climbing. So why is that a weakness? If you like that, then it's not a weakness. But for me, for e-bikes, I would rather have that comfort. I'm seeing this more and more on a lot of new e-bikes where it's so plush and comfortable. Why? Because the e-bike is a great climber anyway. There's really hardly anything I can climb here in the Bay Area that depends on the anti-squat of these bikes. So I want it. So the weakness is it's not as plush as some other bikes. But you know, like I said, there's a suspension trick that I learned about this thing. So the third weakness is the appearance. You know, is not quite there. It's pretty darn good. It's like B level. The paint, you know, the cut paint, you know, it might speak to you, it might not. I like the satin finish, but you know, it's not quite there. They have a solid color, a blue, but that blue is a little bit off to me. But if they speak to you, you're good. And the last weakness I'll speak of is it's a swappable battery, but it's not really field swappable. You know, I tried to swap in my garage. Man, I have to think about that. So you have to take out this cover, 2 bolts here, but then there's 2 bolts here, and I really have to take the rear wheel out, and then you have to, you know, the battery, it's hard to slide in and out, and it's not self-seating. You have to find it where the bolts are by sticking something in, and there's no way. I had it upside down, the battery would just fall in. It was not easy to pull it out and place it. I had to screw something in there. So battery swaps on the field, pretty darn tough. So if that's something that's important to you, then either you need a lot of practice or go somewhere else. But 800 and 250, that's going to get you a lot of miles and elevation gain. Okay, so what is the bottom line with this bike? I just feel very lucky that I'm going to do a lot of long-term reviews on it. I'm going to get to keep it for at least 3 to 6 months because it is an amazing package. You know, for the money, 170 travel, you can get it at like 6,500. This is 79. It's just a compelling package. And it's not just a you know, kind of a budget bike. It competes with a $12,000, with a $50,000 bike. You know, mano a mano, because you have the best saddle, you know, just your choice of grips, everything is dialed. And now, you know, the kinematics is there. It's a 170 bike that feels like, it doesn't feel much different from a 150, 160 until you like case something really hard, or until you see a gully rock garden and you open this thing up. And we do have some very rough trails that we took this thing on, and it flies, jumps in the air, very adjustable, very supportive, 27, 29. So is it a good option? Absolutely. And I'm gonna have a shootout with this guy against the Crestline, 180 or 170, 180, and this thing has a huge advantage. Over there I was able to do a 160 dropper, This here I can do a 210. Just the fact that you could buy 600 or 800 watt hours at checkout, hopefully they give you a discount when you choose 600. You know, you save 2 pounds, a little less than 2 pounds, and you save some money as well. So RE bikes, there are going to be links in the description, and if you purchase through my links, it's actually gonna, you know, give me a couple pennies, help me support this channel, pay for my brand new roof over here over my studio, and I appreciate it very much. Oh, the suspension trick, I almost forgot. So the really cool suspension trick that I have is, first you set your sag, right, and then your compression damping to get your ride height proper. So you need that balance. But the one that really light bulb moment for me is the rebound damping, because I was complaining to Tyler, or I said, you know, to make it perfect, I go, hey, I want it a little bit more comfortable. You know, I feel like it's a little bit bumpy for me, you know, when we hit this big chatter, you know, how do I do that? And he goes, what you do, and very convenient here, it's all about the rebound damping. The rebound damping is there to give you control on a corner, keep the tire on the ground. But when you do that, it's at the expense of a comfort, you know, because the shock is not responding as fast. You're climbing on rocky, rooty stuff, you know, the shock is a little bit slow. So open up your rebound damping, 1 click, maybe 2 clicks, and you'll get the comfort. If you feel like you're losing traction on the cornering, kind of getting bounced around, add some rebound damping, you know, 1 or 2 clicks. And so it gave me some understanding of what rebound damping was, especially on the rear, was really doing for me. And I hope that helps you out as well. Thanks a ton, everybody.